Hey Who fans, and welcome to the Big Blue Box podcast. My name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And we're at episode 115.
One day, I shall come back.
Oh dear, we are in trouble, aren't we?
I've reversed the polarity of the neutron flow, so the TARDIS should be free of the force field now.
I have the advantage of being slightly ahead of you. Sometimes behind you, but normally ahead of you.
The trouble with time travel is, one never seems to find the time.
Change, my dear, and it seems not a moment too soon.
Unlimited rice pudding, etc., etc.
A meteor storm, and the sky above us was dancing with lights. Purple, green, brilliant yellow, yes!
I'm the doctor, by the way. What's your name?
Rose.
Nice to meet you, Rose. Run for your life.
It's more like a big ball of wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff.
Just remember who's standing in your way. Look at the eyebrows. These are attack eyebrows. You can take bottle tops off with these.
Howdy do, Who fans. Hope you've had a fantastic week and that you've managed to do something Doctor Who related in your lives. Hope you found some Doctor Who news, because we haven't.
No, get the tumbleweed will be rolling past when we get to that bit.
Yes. We're a bit sparse on news. Plenty of merch coming up.
Yeah.
Then we've got our mini review of Class, episode 3, Night Visiting. Before we crack on with our main review of Tooth and Claw. So I've got my cup of tea in a Fourth Doctor mug.
Oh, hang on. Which one have you got? Which mug have you got there?
It's the quote one, you know.
Is it?
Would you
right,
like
okay.
it? Would you like a jelly baby?
Just checking, because bizarrely I had a cuppa just before we kicked off in a Fourth Doctor mug.
Oh.
For a minute there I thought it might be the same one, but no, it's not. It's a different one.
This quote always makes me laugh now. It didn't before. But the first time that I watched... oh, crikey. What story was it? I can't remember now. There's a
What, a Tom Baker one? Oh, you've only got about 200 to choose from.
and I didn't find it funny before we reviewed it, and then we started cracking up. Whatever story it is, I can't remember for the life of me what it is.
I know. Hang on. See, I know. I bet it's Robots of Death.
Yes, that's the one. Yeah, when he offers some.
Shut up. It's that one, isn't it?
It's the one where he gets the jelly babies smashed out of his hand immediately after offering some.
Simple no would have sufficed. It's that bit, isn't it? Yeah.
So this quote always makes me laugh now, because I think of that bit where they just get slapped out of his hand.
Yeah, that's a good bit. It's a good scene, actually.
Yes, Robots of Death. That's pretty good, that one.
A classic. Very good. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Talking of quotes, I noticed while rewatching our review ep that that's where you got the Mr. Tennant bit from, where he goes, it's a little bit rubbish, or whatever it is he says.
That's right, yeah. Yeah,
I thought, that's where he nabbed it from.
Yeah, oh, you mean the merch quote?
Pretty, it's very pretty, but yeah, I thought, it's when he's looking at the old telescope bit, isn't it?
The correct Mondos.
Something. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's one ticked. I'm trying to slowly gather where you got them. Obviously, I know McCoy's. Unlimited rice pudding, I know where that's from.
Yes,
So,
wow.
Yeah, that was good.
You've actually stumbled onto a potential competition question that we're going to do at some point soon, and one of our listeners has already sent his answer.
Oh, really?
Because he sort of sparked off the thing, because he said it was our good buddy Adam, the Ultimate Whovian.
Oh yeah,
this is going back a few weeks now. He said when we did the new intro clip, and he was like, I'm going to try and put together a list of the episodes where you got all the quotes from. And he said, if I get them all right, do I get anything? And I said, well, you've actually stumbled onto a competition idea.
Yeah.
But I'll accept your entry now. So I've got it saved away. So at some point in the very near future, we'll do another giveaway, and that will be the question. So it's probably worth trying to gather some intel now.
Oh, that's a great idea. Well, I've already given the listeners a head start then, so they know where that one's from.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a really cool idea.
Yeah, so we'll do that in the next couple of weeks, actually.
Excellent.
Don't know what we're going to give away, but we'll do that.
Well, I'll find some old tap from behind the sofa, won't we, to give away? Or maybe one of those nice big blue box T-shirts.
Yeah, that we still haven't got.
but we still haven't got. No, yeah. The big, what is it? The misprinted, the big yellow box.
Yeah, the big block box podcast.
Yeah, can't say it or spell it. Yeah,
yeah, with the big white line running down just off center in the middle of the t-shirt, which amazingly this print company said was perfectly fine. So maybe give that one away.
Yeah,
at least it's one of a kind. It's a unique copy.
Well, I was going to say somebody out there has got the only one decent copy. Whoever won the last competition,
Alex.
Yeah, it was Alex, wasn't it? Alex Kingdom. Yeah, won the last one. So that'll be a very limited edition if we don't get any more.
Yeah, true. Yeah. What have you been up to, mate? Anything cool? Because it sounds like you've had a very quiet week in comparison to your week before.
Yeah, I was just saying before we kicked off, wasn't I, that last week seems really surreal now compared to this week, which has been, because obviously, the last 2 weeks I was mixing at the class premiere and Polarity Day and all that, and it was all in 1 week and all really great. And then this week it's slammed back to reality. It's just been all work and no play. So I haven't really done much this week, I'll be honest with you. I've watched episode 3 at class, obviously, which we'll talk about. I've watched the review ep. And I haven't really watched any other Who. I've been actually rewatching Blake 7 from the very beginning because I managed to get there is just one series that I just could not live without. I just could not live without Blake 7. So I saw this import complete box set on a certain well-known retail site, and it was really cheap. And I thought, just because I'm a bit sad, I thought, yeah, I'm going to get that. That way, if my discs ever get scratched, if anything ever happens to it, I've got a nice second backup copy. Because I'm not kidding you, I literally could not live without that Blake 7 in my life. So I bought it. It was really cheap and it's really nice. Apart from all the lettering is in a foreign language on the box. So it's a Blake 7. But I don't know, it actually says Blake 7, but the rest of it's all in another language. But obviously the discs are all English and it's all in a nice one box rather than spread out in loads. So I've just been watching that from the beginning again, and I've seen them 1,000 times, but I just love it. So I'm sorry to be a traitor to the Doctor Who kingdom, but apart from class and the review app, I've actually been watching Blake 7 in my spare time. But it has been a very, very quiet week. The only other mild bit of excitement was had a biggish box turn up from Toys R Us. So I got this 13 Doctor figure set, which I think we spoke about, didn't we? I can't remember if we spoke about it on the podcast or whether we were just chatting about it. Because it's been out in the US for a while when it's finally come to the UK as a Toys R Us exclusive. So I got it. Ridiculously overpriced, I have to say. As much as I opened it, I was like, oh, it's all shiny and new and I like it. And I would say about half the figures in the set I absolutely love, because I do like my Doctor Who figures. Half of them are just dull as dishwater. It's not worth the money, in my opinion. I kind of regret... Well, I don't regret buying it because I treated myself, because I've sold a few things on eBay last week, so I justified getting it from that. So I'm really pleased I got it. I do like it, but all I kept thinking was I could have bought the Malice for half this price, because I really wanted that Robert Harrop Malice, and which is sold out now. So I just kept thinking that. I just keep looking at it, wishing it would morph into a Robert Harrop Malice. But it's okay. It's a nice set. Don't get me wrong. It's just the cost of it. It's £99, which is I think ridiculous for what it actually is. It's a nice set, but yeah, I just don't think it's worth the money. I slightly regret buying it. Having said that, it sold out about an hour after I bought it. So I guess if I hadn't have bought it, I'd be on here moaning that I didn't buy it. A bit like the Malice. I'd be saying, oh, I wish I'd got it before it sold out. Yep. So so I bought that. It turned up. It's very nice. But yeah, bit pricey. And I know you're not so into the figures as me, are you? You're not. You buy the odd one or two, but you. Yeah.
Yes, I'm not as into them as you are. And I actually, speaking of figures, did you see that Character had released the second figure in their line of these new 5.5 inch figures?
Another Capaldi.
It was a Capaldi, and then they cancelled it immediately after.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think wasn't there supposed to be another announcement, and then they just cancelled it before.
Yeah.
I think it was going to be the Doctor. It was going to be another Capaldi variant, I believe. I could be wrong. Right. It's going to be the Doctor in his red velvet coat, and they cancelled it.
It looks not atrocious, though.
But I mean, like, is that it? 2 Capaldi variants and a 10th Doctor in Tuxedo? Is that all they're producing? It seems really like half-hearted. I don't even know why they're bothering. Actually, it seems really boring. But yeah,
I'm a bit.
Mind you, mate, you might think it looks rubbish, but it's a vast improvement on the 12th Doctor figure they've released already, which looks absolutely nothing like him.
Bad.
So it might be bad, but it's a lot better than the one we've got now.
Yeah, well, do you know what? Overall, in the world of figures, I've had a bad experience with action figures in the past. I'm going to go off tangent a little bit here. I'm going to talk about Star Wars.
Well, we've already done Blake 7. Let's do Star Wars.
Let's do Star Wars. Yeah,
let's do Star Wars.
So when I was a wee lad, I think I was about 4 years old. I started getting Star Wars figures for like birthdays and Christmas. And then I started buying them with pocket money and so on. And they were the original Kenner line. I don't know if people know much about the original Star Wars figures, but I must have had about 70 figures. Because I think there was about 90 odd in the initial first wave from Kenner. And I must have had about 70 of them. And that did include a couple of copies. I had a couple of Darth Vaders and, a couple of other ones. And I also had like the big full-size AT-AT.
Yes.
Open at the side. I had the Millennium Falcon, and I had something else as well. And these were all first wave Kenner in great condition. And I also had a few of them boxed as well. And it got to the point where I must have got to, I don't know, sort of early teens and stuff. And my focus in life moved away from toys and collectibles to girls and stuff like that. So I remember just boxing them all up, put them in the loft, and that was it. Anyway, years later, when me and my mum and my sister, we moved house to the last house that I lived in before I moved out, I just put them in the loft as I did, nice and secure. Job done. When I moved out of home, I went back a couple of years later when I was visiting my mum and said, "Oh, by the way, I'm going to get my Star Wars figures out the loft now because I want to put them on display and all that sort of stuff." She's like, "Oh, I gave them away."
Oh no!
Yeah.
No.
I was like,
I thought you were going to say like the mice had eaten them or something, but oh no!
I was like, "Mum, please tell me this is a cruel joke. That this is not the 1st of April. This can't be happening." She's like, "Yeah. The lad down the road. I'm sort of made friends with his mum, and I notice he hasn't really got much in the way of toys." So I said, "Oh, my son's got his old toys knocking about in the loft. You can have them."
Got visions of you going down the road and snatching them out of his hand. Oi, give them back.
Yeah, so it's a twofold sort of crisis for me because, it was such a nostalgia, a massive nostalgia thing for me because Star Wars is my first love of sci-fi. My earliest memories of being, involved in that world sort of thing. And also they're probably they would have been worth so much money now.
If they're boxed, yeah.
Because a few of them were boxed as well and they were in good condition as well. I didn't, break anything and I didn't, overly go nuts with them. So, yeah.
I used to love those figures. I had a lot of them as well. So I feel your pain because they were great. And it's weird how, we're talking about figures back in the 70s, 80s. And obviously they've, reissued them in a sense now, haven't they? But they're not as good, are they? I always think, why are they not as good? We've had 30, 40 years to improve them and they were great back then. So why are they not as good now? They feel really plasticky and flimsy, the new ones, compared to what we had as kids. They were brilliant, weren't they? With the lightsabers in the hands that used to push down out, and they were just brilliant figures. Yeah, I can relate to that though, Gary, because very similar to you, I'd kept mine. I used to have this trunk. I used to keep all my figures in the trunk. But my dad, more or less in front of me, gave them all away to our neighbour.
Oh no.
He's like, "You're too old for them." He used to get really cross with me because he was like, "You're too old for all these toys. You don't need them anymore." Yeah, he literally gave all my stuff to the neighbour. Yeah, nightmare. I don't know how old I would have been then, but I can remember the trunk being emptied and not happy. Not all of them though. Yeah, I remember I managed to cling onto an AT-AT for quite some time, although I don't have it now, so goodness knows where it went. But yeah, I think over time they just gradually got given to neighbours and friends. I think that's a generation thing. I think that's what parents used to do, didn't they? Used to get to an age and you're expected to just grow up and you don't need this stuff anymore and pass it on to somebody else. That's what used to happen. Exactly, I wonder if that's sometimes, why I'm so into my figures and stuff now. And so, like I just said about buying the Blake 7 duplicate. I wanted to get a different version, but another copy. So I'd got it. And I sometimes think, why do I feel that? And I wonder if it's because, getting very deep here, because I'm worried about losing it. Like I said, I can't bear the thought of not having it. So I must get a backup. And, I'm sure it has a knock-on effect, although it doesn't seem to have affected you as much as me. But I do sometimes wonder why I have to have all these figures and why I've got to get a duplicate of Blake 7 and stuff like that. And I'm sure it is because there's all that great stuff like the Star Wars stuff that you just don't have it anymore, and you'd love to go back and get it, would you? Yeah. So maybe.
Yeah, it's definitely.
I feel like I've learned something about myself. I feel like I've had a session with a counsellor now.
It's definitely a psychological thing from growing up, because as adults, we don't have the restrictions of mum or dad saying,
you can't have it.
You have to give, you're too old and all that stuff. So it's kind of like a rebellious nature, isn't it? Now that we're old enough to afford, these figures and we've got space to put them wherever we want, it's like, there you go. Have that. Have that, parents.
Yeah. It's mine.
Yeah. But one thing I wish they would do with the Doctor Who range of figures, and it's a similar thing that they did with the Star Wars, going back to Star Wars again. I think it was about 2 or 3 years ago now. Alongside the standard range of figures, and I'm not sure if it's Kenner that still make them, because I know they were bought out by Hasbro. Is it Hasbro now? I can't remember.
Sounds right.
They released a slightly upgraded line called the Star Wars Black Series. Don't know if anyone's ever seen those. They come in like they're ever so slightly taller. I think just an extra inch or so taller than a standard figure. But it comes in a nicer package, and the quality is a bit more. So obviously they're a bit more expensive. I think they're about 15 quid, or 12 quid, or something like that. But I wish that they would do that with Doctor Who, because I would certainly buy those, because I do feel like some of the standard ones just look bloody awful, and like you say, they are a bit flimsy and they're not that great. But if they were to bring out a slightly more
elite series,
like the Black Series that Star Wars did, because you get like a little stand with those and. They're very cool. So I'll get those if they did them. But
that's what I would like. Yeah, that's exactly what I'd like to see, because I think they know there's a market out there for like classic Doctor Who figures, but it's not in their sort of eyes a massive seller. But they know there's a sort of chunk of a market out there. So I wish they'd do that as well, so they could produce like these limited, more deluxe figures for that group of fans, that chunk of their audience. And then if they want to knock off these flimsy rubbish other figures, or well, not rubbish, but if they want to do the sort of cheaper range like the B&M sets, I always think for the price they're very good value, but the figures do feel very cheap, and the paint apps on them are very rushed a lot of the time. So if they want to do do that, it would be great. I think I'd love to see more classic figures coming out. I think that's why I was so disappointed with the 3 that we got, because I was thinking, come on, give us at least one classic. I'd love to see. I think I'm never sure if this was real or if it was a fan mock-up, but I think it was real. There was floating around a prototype of the second Doctor with a Yeti. They were going to do like a box set of the two together, and it looked brilliant.
That'd be amazing.
It really looked good. I mean, we'd had a second Doctor figure, so presumably they were going to use that mold and perhaps paint it slightly different. But with a Yeti, and when you saw the two together, as I said, somebody out there will know, I think it was a genuine prototype. And I remember thinking, now that would be great. Plus, was it them or was it... no, it was... I was going to say, I think they were going to do the Whomobile, but... Now I think back, that was Daypole, which is going right back to the 80s. I think they did a prototype of the Whomobile, which would have been amazing, but never came. Yeah, of course. I know you know of the Daypole figures, but that was way before you got into Doctor Who.
Oh, way before, yeah.
Yeah, and now they used to fall apart after a month. I've got, I had loads of those figures back then, but they did not last the test of time like the Star Wars ones. So yeah, lots of figures.
Yeah, lots of stuff.
Yep. But yeah, not really been up to much else, mate. Have you managed to fit any other Who stuff in this week?
No, not really. After I watched Tooth and Claw, I left the disc in because it's got the
School Reunion.
Yes. So we've done that, haven't we?
We did a commentary for it, didn't we? Yeah.
Yeah. So that's always a good watch. Watch Class, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
The only other thing I've done is I just looked on the shelf. I fancied a bit of Big Finish, and I picked out a McCoy one that was out. I think it was last year. We Are the Daleks, which is I don't think it got reviewed that highly, but I think it's a pretty good story. It's about sort of the Daleks sort of trying to take over from within industry and tech and stuff, and it's all about the stock market. It's a pretty good listen, actually. I really like McCoy in that one.
I seem to remember liking that one. Yeah, it's got like a sort of 80s cover, isn't it, with yellow writing on it? Is that the one?
That's right. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I seem to remember liking that one. Funny enough, I just ordered a Dalek story from Big Finish, which is due out this week. Is it the one with the church Dalek or whatever it is?
Oh, no, I didn't order that one. No. I ordered one called Order of the Daleks.
That is it.
That is
the
it.
one.
Oh, yeah, cool.
Got like the Dalek made out of what I would call stained glass windows or something.
Oh, I must be confusing that with another one. Yeah, but I pre-ordered that as well.
Yeah, I was thinking I have got quite a lot of Dalek stories, and I hope it's going to be good because there's only so much you can do with them. But I just like the cover, and I thought I could do with. Well, I did actually. I couldn't do with some Big Finish because I've got loads to listen to, but I just wanted to get it, so I did. That's coming out later this month, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, cool.
Yeah, so that'll be good.
That'll be a good one.
Before we move into the rest of the thing, could you just get your list of podcasts that we're going to do before the bucket list podcast list that we're going to do? So we've got Doctor Who on there. That's got a big tick. Yep. Wurzel Gummidge podcast. That's got a question mark. And just add Blake 7 underneath it, because I was watching it and I was thinking I really, really want to do a Blake 7 podcast for you. Because I really would. There are bits of it where I just can imagine you cracking up, through it. And I was thinking we have got to do a Blake 7 podcast one day, maybe in a few years' time when we've got all the classics done or whatever. But it would be so much fun. We've got to do it.
Well, that would be a fairly short and sweet podcast because it'd only be a finite amount of episodes, wouldn't it?
It's 4 series. Yeah.
Well, yeah. What I mean is, there's nothing going on with Blake outside of that. There's nothing. Right, they're not bringing it back, are they? That you know of?
No. Well, there is. They've been talking about bringing it back for years, and I think there is some film in progress.
Really?
Obviously, not with the original cast. No. I think there is something going on. Right. Yeah. I don't know. Different people keep buying the rights. It never seems to get off the ground. I'm not sure, but I wouldn't be interested anyway, because you're never going to get a cast that gel as well as those guys. So yeah, anyway.
Well,
just put it onto your list, because I just, every time I'm watching it, I'm just thinking, I'd love to do a podcast with Gary about this. Every time he goes, Blake, I think of you.
Well, we'll watch this space. You never know. We could do it on the angle of a very seasoned, knowledgeable Blake 7 viewer versus a person that's never seen it and giving opposing thoughts.
That's what appeals to me. That's exactly what I was thinking. Yeah, it would be funny. Yes. Anyway, it's one for the list. Put it on your list.
Yes, Blake 7 fans, watch this space. Could be coming soon.
Wow.
Right. It's time to land the TARDIS and see if we've got any news.
Yeah. Well,
nope, no news.
Nothing. Not a jot.
No. Don't know what to say, really. It's just been very light on the old news front.
It's almost as if Doctor Who's fallen off the planet, because there is nothing. There's been No filming pics, no little nuggets put out there for us. There is nothing at all. Yeah, it's all class, isn't it?
It's all class.
Mm.
We have got some merch, though.
Yeah, bring the Daleks in.
Merch corner. Merch corner. Merch corner.
I don't know whether to be impressed or disgusted.
It's a bit rubbish, but it's pretty. It's very pretty.
This first one's cool. If you're into your Who comics, or you wanted to get into your Who comics, so there's a thing, called Humble Bundle. Now, I've seen a few of these in the past, and they're actually pretty good.
Humble Bundle.
Bundle.
I've never heard of this, I have to be honest.
Yeah, so what they do is they work in conjunction with various companies, and they basically say, give us a bunch of your products that we want to sell mega cheap, but we'll offer a few tiers that people can upgrade to get more stuff.
Oh, okay.
So I've seen various video game bundles that they've done in the past, and books and things like that. So these guys, Humble Bundle, what they've done is they've spoken to Titan Comics, and they've worked up a whole stack of Doctor Who comics that you can buy uber cheap if you want to just pay like the entry level tier. And there's another 2 tiers that you can pay a bit extra, and then it unlocks all the other bundle of comics. And the way it works is there's like a minimum payment. So the first tier is $1, which is 82p. So that's the minimum that you can pay for that tier. However, what they do is they kind of set it up as a pay what you want sort of thing. So as long as you pay a minimum of 82 pence, then you get the first bundle. But if you want to pay a bit more, if you want to pay $5, which is like £3 or whatever, you pay whatever you feel this bundle is worth, basically, as long as you pay the minimum.
Oh, right.
And the difference with this one is they've teamed up with Children in Need. So what you can do is you can say, right, out of once you've put in your basket which collections you want, at the end you can say, right, out of this total amount, I want you to send X amount to Children in Need.
Ah, gotcha.
And they will send it over. So the first bundle, or the first tier, if you like, which is the $1, you've got Doctor Who Agent Provocateur, editions 1 to 6. You've got Doctor Who Ripper's Curse 1 to 3, When Worlds Collide 1 to 3. You've got As Time Goes By 1 to 4. You've got Fugitive 1 to 4, Through Time and Space 1 to 6, and Body Snatched 1 and 2. These are all from Titan, by the way. If you want to upgrade to the second tier, which is $8, which is £6 or £6.50. That's got another bunch of them. So you've got the first Doctor, the 13th Doctor, the Forgotten 1 to 6. You've got The Girl Who Loved Doctor Who. You've got the 10th Doctor, the complete Volume 1. You've got the 11th Doctor, Volume 1. You've got the 9th Doctor mini-series, first edition, the 8th Doctor, first edition, and the 4th Doctor, first edition. You've got the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive 2015 13th Doctor, and you've got the 12th Doctor number 16, all in bundle 2. And if you want to upgrade to the third tier, which is £12, which is $15 all in all, then you get all of those 2, plus you get the 10th Doctor Volume 2, 11th Doctor Volume 2, 12th Doctor Volume 1. I realise I've been saying the 13th Doctor. I actually mean the 12th Doctor, because I'm going into sort of War Doctor mode. So
I was thinking that.
Yeah, so 12th Doctor Volume 1. You also get the 9th Doctor ongoing number 1, 10th Doctor 11, 11th Doctor 11, 12th Doctor number 6, and the 3rd Doctor comic number 1.
Oh, that's good stuff. I like the 3rd Doctor stuff so far.
Yes. So all in all, if you were to add up all of those comics, that works out to about $200. $200 worth of digital comics. You can get the whole lot for minimum of $15.
Yeah, it's quite a stash, isn't it?
That's quite a stash. So if you've wanted to get into the Titan range, or if you've been reading a few of them and there's a few in here that you wanted to pick up, this is a great way to to pick them all up. Bearing in mind it's the digital versions. Just want to clarify that. They don't post these out to you. It's the digital ones. And then you can also say, yes, also pay Children in Need a nice little sum as well.
Good stuff.
So if you just do a search if you just go to humblebundle.com, go to the books category, and then you'll see there Doctor Who by Titan Comics. It's very cool.
Excellent. Okay. In other news, BBC Books are republishing 3 of the original Doctor Who novelisations, and these are going to be in hardback, featuring their original covers and content. This is quite interesting, actually, because we've had a few of these books reissued over the last couple of years, haven't we, with their nice sort of covers with the original artwork and that. Yeah. But these are something a bit different. They look very 60s, I would say, the covers. So we're going to get the first one is Doctor Who in an exciting adventure with the Daleks, which is of course Doctor Who and the Daleks, but they slightly rebranded it for the book version, which I quite like. Doctor Who and the Zarbi, which of course is the web planet, and Doctor Who and the Crusaders. So those are the 3 that are coming out in hardback. The covers, I absolutely love them. Well, 2 of them. Doctor Who and the Exciting Adventure with the Daleks looks a bit like they haven't finished it. But the other 2, I think, look fantastic. The Zarbi and the Crusaders are really striking covers. So, yes, I'm probably going to get those. I might get all 3, actually. It depends. I think they're about $9.99, aren't they? Not sure what the actual retail price was, but I think that's the price I saw them for on Amazon.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
They're around about that. I'm just having a look to see if I can find them, actually. But yeah, they're not too bad price-wise, and they are quite a nice reprint, I think. So, yeah, I'm going to get a couple of these. You interested in any of these books?
I absolutely am interested, mate. But the reason why is because I think the covers look absolutely lovely. They're
fantastic, yeah.
And I like that they're slightly different as well, because the Doctor Who logo is not your standard logo that you see on everything these days.
That's true. Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, so they've used the original logo from back in the... When did these come out originally? It was back in the 60s, wasn't it?
I would assume so. Yeah, I'm not too sure, actually. I'm just having a look to see what the actual retail price is on.
$6.99 now.
Are they really? Oh, even better then.
$6.99. And apart from the Crusaders, which is $7.99, but still good value.
That is good, yeah. I'll probably, for that price, I'll probably get all 3, actually. Yeah, they're really nice reissues. So these are coming out. They're up for pre-order now. When are they actually due out? November the 3rd.
So yes, if you're listening to this on launch day, yesterday.
All right, so they've literally hot off the press.
Yeah.
Oh, great stuff. Yeah, if you want to see the covers, just check out. They're on DoctorWhoNews.net if you want to see the actual full covers. But they look great.
They do, yes. Right, and the penultimate bit of merch is you would have all heard and seen the upcoming release of the animated restoration of The Power of the Daleks. And we've now got confirmation of all the additional / special features that are coming up on the DVD. And they are as follows. Alternate soundtracks. So we've got completely new remasters, all digitally done. In stereo, there's also a 5.1 surround mix of the original 66 mono track, which is always an interesting one. I'm never sold on these mono tracks that have been, mastered down into a 5.1 surround mix.
No, I'm not either.
I've got a few Blu-rays, actually, where the old mono mix, they've done a surround thing on it, and they've just ruined it completely and always end up flicking back to the mono mix. So I'd be interested to see what they do with this one. But anyway.
Yeah, I'll agree with that, because I got the original Star Trek Blu-rays where they've done that, and it drives me nuts because the music completely blares out all the sound. Yeah, I suppose if you've got a surround sound, really expensive setup, it's probably great. But yeah, I agree with you on that. I'm not sold on the 5.1.
Yeah. There's some test footage from the new animation style.
Which
would be good. Audio commentaries on all 6 episodes. So members from the original cast and crew are all back to talk about the story and its animated construction. And it's moderated by Toby Haydock, which will be awesome. You get a booklet with all the production notes. There's original camera scripts, which is interesting.
The
original title sequence which has been newly restored. And there's an animation and photo gallery which goes through all of the production photographs back from the 1966 artwork and all that stuff. And there's also the surviving footage and original trailer.
Annoyingly, only on the BBC Store, though. I'm a little bit sad about that because that's one of the things that would really appeal to me, to be on the DVD. So I'm a bit sad that it's only on the digital version.
Yes, and that's the only bit of footage that survived, isn't it? So, yeah. And then we've got the original voice recording session for the Daleks, which is going to be pretty good. Then we've got the making of, called Servants and Masters. And then there's a Telesnap reconstruction. So there's around 400 still frames that are still in existence at the Beeb. And they're, so if you've seen other Telesnap bits on previous Classic Who that have been lost, it's where the audio track is running in the background and they just fill in the story with a series of still photos and so on. So that's that.
It's quite, I have to say, kudos to the BBC. They've done well on this, I think, because I was worried we were just going to get, because the amount of money ploughed into what, to bringing this back, I think it would have cost a lot. So I wasn't expecting as many extras as we've got. So, yeah, I think they're quite impressive. As I say, a little bit sad about the surviving footage thing being BBC Store only, but otherwise, I think it's a really great set of extras, actually, all things considered.
I think so, and I'm with you completely on this one. It's huge kudos to the BBC because this can't have been cheap to do this, and considering it's they haven't outsourced it. This is like an in-house animation team at the BBC doing it. Well, I can only assume that we might have some more lost stories done in this animated style in the future.
I mean, they'll certainly be seeing how well it sells, but I would imagine it does seem like they've got others already, in the planning stage. So if this does sell well, they'll hopefully get some more follow on pretty quick. But yeah, they've gone to town a bit on it, which is really nice to see. Yeah.
Yeah, and there is one thing that's nigged me a little bit, is the you can only get it in HD at the BBC Store at the moment. There's no Blu-ray release announced at the moment.
Why? Don't get me started. It really bugs me. Like, what? No, I'm not going to go there, but I'm exactly the same as you. I'm like, why not get this out on Blu-ray? It's it's crazy.
It's
but there
perfect,
you go.
Yeah, because animation in HD on Blue always looks fantastic. So I can understand the push. They want to get more people onto the BBC Store. I totally get that, but hopefully we'll see a Blu-ray release.
I'm just wondering, actually, do you know, has it been released, announced as being released on Blu-ray in the US? Because I know it's very largely US funded, this project, and they tend to, in the US, they tend to sort of go more towards Blu-ray. So I wouldn't be at all surprised, because I remember Adventures in Space and Time came out on Blu-ray over in the US way before it did in the box set over here. So I wouldn't be surprised if it isn't over there. I have to wait and see. But yeah, it's looking good. Finally in the news, there's a new Doctor Who special out called The Essential Doctor Who Invasions of Earth. Now, this just basically focuses on it's got a great picture of Nick Briggs on the front for a start, but yeah, it's pretty much what it says on the tin. It's all the Earthbound adventures gone into in detail. I picked this up 2 days ago, actually. I couldn't find it in any of the local Smiths or whatever, and then I just happened to be in a supermarket, and to my amazement, there it was on the shelf. I've only flicked through it. I will say it's a really nice special, this one. I was pretty pleased I picked it up, but I haven't had a chance to really go into it in depth. But yeah, it's a really nice one. It's $9.99, so same as the usual price for these things. And it's literally just come out over here in the UK. I'm not sure about the US. I think they tend to be a little bit behind us, don't they, with these Doctor Who magazines and the specials. But it's a good issue, yeah. And it's got interviews with Anne Barry from Day of the Daleks, Ray Brooks from Dalek Invasion. So I'm laughing because I met him and it was interesting. So yeah, it's got lots of interviews. Peter Harness is interviewed from the Zygon Invasion version. Victor Pemberton, Toby Whitehouse. So there's lots going on in there, and their specials are normally pretty good. So having picked this one up myself, I would recommend it. It's a good one.
And there's it's got a tribute to Nick Courtney, and
yes.
It's also got a section on the unmade Pertwee story, The Spare Part People.
I haven't looked at that yet, but yeah.
So these Doctor Who magazine, the Essential or the specials, they are pretty good. I remember one of them that I picked up a while ago, ages ago now. I think it was the TARDIS one.
Oh, that's brilliant.
That was a great special. So, yeah, if you can find it, it's been out for a couple of days already, but if you can find it, it's these are well worth it. They're a really good read, really interesting.
Yeah, they're normally packed full of loads of photographs. I think that's the thing. I always flick through them. They've always got loads of pictures in. But when you actually start reading it, they're quite in depth. So they are good. Yeah.
Yes.
So that's out now. Invasions of Earth.
And that's merch. We're going to move on to our mini review of episode 3 of Class. Mm-hmm. This one is called Night Visiting.
It's our limitation. We have to stay attached to the great trunk. It's how the souls connect. I can only come this far to you. You have to come the rest of the way. Why?
Because souls can never be forced. They can only be persuaded. What can I say to make you believe me? I'll puddle. But you take your sister's hand.
Oh, Puddle.
Oh.
Oh, Puddle. I can only convince you. I can't. You have to take my hand. What a pathetic flipping alien this is.
Okay, I have no idea on your thoughts on this once again, which I'm really pleased about because I've been itching to talk about episode 3 since I watched it with you.
Yeah.
So yeah, come on, let's do it.
Come on, what a load of rubbish this one was. Crikey Moses. And we've got this massive alien thing, right, which is coming through from the crack in the space inside, the rift or the crack.
Blimmin' rift,
or whatever.
Why didn't he seal it? Oh, the blimmin' rift.
The rift, right? So we've got this massive alien thing, which is essentially just a bunch of like tentacle vine things coming through the rift, right? And it's going all across London. There's miles and miles of this stuff, but it can only go a foot inside someone's window. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
I'm quite relieved. I thought it was just me, Gary. I thought it was just me that was sat there bored out of his skull thinking, what is this episode? Because all I've seen is people saying how good it was.
I know, right? I know.
And I thought you were going to be the same. I really did. I thought you were going to be like, brilliant episode, really suspenseful, great count. I thought, oh no, it's just me. I'm the only one. Thank goodness, because I thought I'd gone mad. Like, what did we miss? The internet, everybody on Twitter and that, they're all saying it's a brilliant episode. It's amazing. Class is the best thing ever. I don't get it. I found it so slow. I was just sat there going, come on, get going. Something happen. Yeah. Just grab his blimmin' hand if that's what you want to do. I'm kind of relieved. Yeah. I've got to calm down. So I'm kind of relieved that you feel the same because I really did think I'd missed something. I was about to say I wish I'd had a chance to watch it again because I have only watched it once. And I just thought maybe I wasn't in the mood for it. But now you said the same. I feel a bit better.
Yeah. Do you know what, mate?
People loved it though.
People absolutely loved it. And do you know what? I do sometimes have that thing going on. I think, what have I missed something crucial?
Yeah.
Is there some big thing that I'm just not seeing? And don't get me wrong, right? I've seen worse programs in my time. I think you'll agree. We've seen worse.
God, yeah.
This, by any stretch, this is not a terrible program. It's not terrible at all. However, it's not great. In my opinion, it really isn't up there with. I mean, put it this way: I would prefer to watch Torchwood at this point versus Class. I know Torchwood isn't amazing either. It is, it has its flaws and all the rest of it, but I would rather put Torchwood on at this stage in the game. I can't comment on the other 5 episodes to come, but it might just be the direction, because these first 3 episodes have been directed by Ed Bazalgette, so they've all been quite similar in their sort of direction. But the next 2, Co-Owner of a Lonely Heart and Bravish Heart, there's a new director. I say new, a different director, Philippa Langdale. So we might see a bit of a change up from episode 4 onwards. But these first 3, I mean, I was quite bored watching The Coach with the Dragon Tattoo. I was a little bit sort of drifting off at that one. I think we said last week. It went round
in circles, didn't it? A lot.
Yeah, it was very predictable, and it was quite. And I found the same thing with this one. I found myself shouting at the TV, just saying, "Just get on with it."
Yeah.
We know what's coming. Yeah. We know what's going on. Just flip it, like you, mate. If you want to hold his flipping hand, then just go and hold his flipping hand. Don't take 20 minutes. Or half an hour just to go back and forth, because I was like, oh, I can't handle this.
Yeah.
And then the conclusion as well.
I know, that's the 3rd week running where the conclusion's just been so weak, isn't it? In fact, do you know what? I actually can't remember what the conclusion was. What happened?
She drove a double-decker bus through the main
that's it.
Vine thing.
And they all just disappeared back into the crack again,
and they all just recoiled, and then everyone's magically fine.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Really sorry, guys, to be big downers again for episode 3, but it's just not floating my boat at the moment, I've got to be honest.
Because you see, now I'm back on that. I was walking with the cool kids last week, enjoying it, and you were on the fence, and now they've kind of wandered off, and they're all loving it, and I'm sort of strolling back, hunched over, back to the fence to sit on it with you, because I didn't think it was that great, and I don't get why they're loving it, and now it doesn't feel like it's aimed at me anymore, and I'm like, I don't know, I think the thing was, I will say this, let's give a positive, because I have got, on my notes, I've got a positive here.
Let's talk about some good stuff, yeah.
There was a couple of some good stuff. For me, although I was really bored and just waiting for the episode to get going, I did think the cast were good. I thought the acting in it was good, especially from her dad, who was sat there for the entire episode in a room and stuff. I thought the acting was good in it, performance-wise good. I thought the actual production values were quite good as well. It felt a little bit contained, though. Almost felt like the Budget Light episode, because they were all in one room pretty much for the whole episode. So it was like they were, there was no, didn't feel big in scale, if you like. It was very contained, this episode. So yeah, that's positives. That's it. I did like Miss Quill this week. That's another positive. I did like her. I thought her jokes about her little one-liners, I thought she got the best one-liners. Something about what was she reading? And she said, "Oh, this isn't real, is it?" Little bits like that. There were some funny moments with her and all that, and her stuff with her sister, where she was just having none of it. I'm really taking to her character. I think she's a bit Marmite. You'll either like her or you don't. I do like Miss Quill quite a lot. Overall, I'm going to say I like the cast. I thought the cast did a decent job of what they were given. I thought the concept started off quite well and then just fizzled off to nothing once again. And overall, I was just bored. So it was a real letdown for me, episode 3. Yeah.
No, I agree, mate. Some of the good things for me was, again, the cast. I thought and I haven't got the gentleman's name, I do apologise, the guy that played Tanya's dad in her...
Yes, yeah.
He was great.
He was good.
I thought, exactly the same as you, I thought that Miss Quill was really good in this one. What I like about her is that there's no messing about.
Yeah, I like her a lot.
There's no grey areas. Something's black or it's white. And I love that with some characters. And you can see, when she goes into the room and this alien has taken on the form of her sister, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And she's not having it right from the get-go. That very second, she knows that it's not her sister. She knows that the only sort of little faltering bit she had is when she presents the pistol You know,
Yeah.
you know, a weapon to her. You know, you can see the temptation in her eyes. She's like, oh, you know, that'd come in handy. But other than that, I really like her character because she's just no messing about. She's just straight down the line.
Yes, I like her. I was going to say, see, there were bits in it like that where I just thought there was some good stuff going on in it. You know, I just felt like it needed to get going.
It needed another gear, didn't it?
Yeah, that's it. That's it. It needed another gear because I was quite invested in what was actually going on, but it just never really got going for me at all. I mean, those two guys spent nearly the entire episode in bed. You know, I was just like, oh yeah. You know, come on, guys.
Yeah.
I know we're in the honeymoon period, but get out of bed.
Yeah, I mean, that's, I'm sort of undecided on that, whether that, I mean, because it doesn't shy, it clearly doesn't, it's a bit like Torchwood in that respect. It doesn't shy away from, gay relationships and that kind of thing. But I'm wondering whether it's in there because they wanted to make a point that this show is, you know, not shying away from that stuff because, like you said, they're in bed for most of the episode.
Yeah,
and
an easy day on set for those guys, wasn't it? Then?
Yeah, and I'm just wondering whether we needed to see it on, you know, were they showing it to us because they wanted to say, right, boys and girls, this is going to be, you know, some adult stuff coming up. And we've told you before class went, you know, before it went live, we told you there was going to be some adult stuff.
Yeah.
And now, you know, here it is. But, I mean,
sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I quite like the characters. Like you, I quite like them. And it is interesting to see whether, I mean, he's obviously going to get killed. Isn't he?
What, the guy with the funny accent?
Yeah, he's obviously going to die.
Yeah, clearly,
obviously.
But I find his accent really distracting as well. I'm just like, it's not his accent, is it? Tell me, it's not.
No. Because
it does sound so. It sounds like Mr. Chekhov from Star Trek. It sounds really put on to me, and honestly, it takes me out of the scene because it sounds like somebody doing a silly accent to me. Yeah, I don't know why they've given him that. Why does he need to be whatever he's meant? What is he meant to be?
I'm not sure. What is he? Russian or Polish or Croatian?
Oh, maybe it's because his parents are disapproving. Maybe that's why he had to be. I don't know, but
yeah, because his parents are sort of homophobic, aren't they? And he said, you know, when he doesn't have a boyfriend, his especially his dad, you know, there's nothing for him to complain about, and he can sort of overlook it. But you know, I think because he did he get thrown out or did he walk out? One of the two.
I don't know. I think I was looking at my phone at this point. I was like, I did find myself looking at my phone a lot this episode.
Yeah.
I think I don't know. I think that bit didn't bother me too much. I think they are trying to throw in the odd, you know, this is a trap that Torchwood went down where they're trying sometimes a little bit too hard to be adult. And I don't think you always need it. I mean, for example, in the second episode, we saw the guy in the shower. Did we need to see full, you know, arse cheek close up? I'm not sure. You know, I'm sure there was a lot of viewers enjoyed it, but is it just there to say, hey, you know, we're an adult show, we can put it in? And it was a bit like the bit with the screwdriver where they shoved it through her hand and stuff. And I was thinking, well, why are they doing that for?
I thought that was
like,
cool.
What do we need? Did you? I didn't like that. No, I was just like, what do we need to see that for?
I thought that bit was cool.
Yeah, I don't know. So that's the thing. There are going to be people out there. There'll be people out there that love it, those bits, and there'll be people like me that kind of feel it's a bit like just trying a bit too hard to be adult. I will. One good thing is they haven't done because Torchwood was very big on the swearing, weren't they?
True.
It's like we're an effing adult show. We can swear. You know, it's like every other word for sometimes, and they haven't quite gone down that route. Actually, Torchwood wasn't that bad, but you know what I mean.
It had a bit of effing and jeffing.
They threw a few F's and that in there to just let us know that they meant business. So
had a bit of effort and jeffing. This one had a bit of blue. Had a bit of blue.
Had a bit of blue for the dads.
Yeah.
So here's where go on.
But yeah, I question whether they, like I said, whether we needed to see it or whether we just needed to know that they were doing it. They're two different things, aren't they? Whether we needed to physically see it or whether we just knew that they were upstairs, you know, doing the dance with no pants.
Yeah,
You
although
know?
I did love Miss Quill's reaction. Well, she did have a great line when they finally did come down or something. Because she again was having none of it. She's like, "Oh, finally," sort of thing. I was right with it when at that point. So yeah, look, here's where I am with Class so far. Let's see if we're on the same fence here. I'm still invested in it, despite finding this episode really boring. But I still invested in it because I think the cast are actually holding their own. I do think the cast are doing a good job. And I quite like them. I mean, I'm a little bit bemused how quickly Rams got over his girlfriend being slaughtered only a week or so ago. He's got over her very quick because he was smooching with old Sophie, wasn't he?
Yeah, considering that he was, down in the dumps constantly in the last episode, and was very much.
He's a lad.
Yeah, he's a lad, isn't he?
He's moved on.
Fair play.
I also didn't realise that Tanya was meant to be 14. Do you know this?
No, she's not.
Oh, apparently she is.
No.
According to, that's what I've read. Because I was like, seriously? I don't know.
No, she's not. No, she's in the sixth form with the other people because Ram's always bugging her to help with his homework.
All right, okay. Well, I don't know. I read somewhere online they were like saying, well, she's only meant to be 14.
Are they? Is she? That can't be right.
No. So that's a bit strange because she looks way older than that. But I also thought she wasn't very surprised when she walks in her room and sees her dead dad sat there. I was amazed how calm she was. Did you think that?
Yep.
She kind of just walks in and goes, "Oh, all right, Dad. Thought you were dead."
Yeah, she's like,
he's like, what's that tube hanging out your back? So that was a little bit odd as well because she kind of just went with it straight away, which I thought was a bit weird.
Yeah, it was a little bit because if I walked into a room and because my mum's sadly no longer with us, but if I was to walk in a room and see my mum sitting on the end of the bed, that would be me gone.
I'd be a little bit, yeah.
My skin would be where it was. I'd be up on the ceiling. And then after a few seconds, I'd be legging off down the street no matter what I was wearing.
It'd be a bit...
I'm not going back in that house. No way. But she's just fairly cash.
She just sort of sat down and started chatting to him, didn't she? Which I just found that a bit weird. I was like, no reaction at all. Bit strange. But so I'm still invested in it. But I need it to step up again now. And I think you were right about each week we're sort of getting a bit of character development for, one more than the other. So I think that might be happening. But yeah, so that's me. Where are you on this now? Are you?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's. I just want to pick up on another thing that I thought was quite good. There was a bit of a nice sort of horror moment, a creepy moment in there where Ram and Sophie are chatting on Skype, and it's amazing that whenever you see people having a video chat online, that they have amazing crystal clear HD in full screen. And I know they try and fluke it now and then in class where they just put a few delays on there of a couple of seconds, but anyway, they're having a chat on their laptops, and when Ram turns around and sees, what's his ex called, whatever her name is, her ex, and then Sophie's looking at, he's legged it out the room, and she's still looking at his room, and there's like a switch that something happens, and then all of a sudden you see that girl's face come up close to the screen, and she slams the laptop down. I thought that was, and here's the thing, right? With each episode of Class, the first 5 minutes have been great, where there's been a great setup to the story, and you think, wow, this is going to be like when I watched this one yesterday. After seeing that bit, I was like, this is going to be a good sort of thriller. It's going to have some horror elements in there. Each episode seems to set itself up quite nicely, but then it just falls flat until the end, and there's a couple of little moments here and there. But anyway, I'm with you. I'm still invested. Not that I'm not going to watch it anymore. It's not that I'm, I've given up or anything like that. I'm still invested more in the characters, like you.
Yeah.
More in seeing where the characters go and stuff like that. But I have to say, it's not grabbing me like I thought it would. It's not, it's just too flat right now. There's not enough, there aren't enough gears in the gearbox to ramp it up when it needs to.
Yeah. And it's a shame actually, because I was getting quite into it after episode 2. Like I said, I didn't think it was perfect, but I was actually getting quite looking forward to episode 3. You know, I was thinking, yeah, I'm liking this. This is filling a gap here. Well, we've got no Doctor Who. But this did disappoint me, I have to say. But it does seem we're a bit in the minority. It seemed a lot of people lapped it up. Maybe it's just the concept though, because I think a lot of people just liked the character, development that was going on with Tanya, and that it would seem like, from what I've read. But yeah, next week, obviously, still looking forward to seeing it. I just haven't quite got that same enthusiasm I had before. Theme tune's growing on me a bit. I'm finding myself singing that. So that's growing on me.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
And it looks like the Shadowkin might be back next week from the trailer, which is surprising because I thought they were going to come back as in the final. But so we'll see. It's a 2-parter, I think, isn't it? Next week.
It is, yeah. Co-owner of A Lonely Heart, and then what the next one's called something. Anyway,
just before we wrap up, do you know what's been my biggest issue with all 3 episodes though? Although I've enjoyed stuff that's going on in them, is the resolutions. The resolutions to all 3 has been really, really poor. And that, this whole series is written by Patrick Ness, so I hope that's not going to be, a running theme really, because literally all 3 episodes, it's just ended with them all going back in the crack. And
that's it. Yeah. That's how it ends, yeah. But then again, we knew that was going to happen. We knew that it was just going to be a feat, it's a bit like those of you that watch The X-Files or have watched The X-Files. What they do is in each season, they have, and I can call it season because it's an American thing. In each season, they have a story arc, but then they have a bunch of episodes that are what they call creature feature episodes or creature of the week. And it's exactly the same deal where it's like an open and shut case where at the beginning you have the setup with the monster and what's going on. They go through the motions and at the end it's all wrapped up nicely in a little bow.
Yeah.
And it's the same with Class. It all goes on and then very conveniently it just disappears back through the rift.
As if nothing had happened.
Yeah. Well, I will correct, before we move on, I will correct myself and apologise for saying, mate, about Tanya. She is actually I don't know if she's 14, but if you go onto the official Class website and check out the character section, it does say that she's younger than the rest of the gang because she skipped 3 school years to take her A-levels early. So she's in the same year and class as the others, but she is younger because she skipped a whole 3 years.
Yeah. Do you remember me saying there was like a throwaway line in the first episode about that? And I still didn't understand what it was. I think that's what they were saying. Because do you remember when she's chatting to Sophie in the hall?
Oh, yes.
And Sophie says something about, well, don't start on about me age or something. No, sorry. Tanya says, don't start on me about my age again or
That's
something.
Right. Yeah.
And I was like, what's that all about? So I think she's supposed to be younger, which again is a bit odd. Has anyone noticed that Mr. Armitage is dead yet? The old head teacher who got slaughtered last week. Kind of been forgotten about. So just before we wrap this up, mate, bets on. When is Matthias, the boyfriend, when is he, what episode is he going to get it? Let's get the bets on.
I think he's going to go in the finale in episode 8. Yeah.
You've got visions of the prince with Hulk cradling him. No!
That's exactly what I've got. Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
It's okay, and I'm going to fix this. And then Bosch.
We had fun, didn't we? That day we spent the whole day in bed. We had fun.
But yes, I'd like to iterate as well because we're trying not to be too adult because we are a family-friendly podcast.
Yes,
which is we've always done that. We've never wanted to be, swear words and adult. We want everyone to enjoy it. So, just a heed of warning to our younger listeners. It is still, classed, excuse the pun, as an adult show. So before you listen to our review and then you think, I want to check it out now, just check with mum and dad first. Or don't do it because it does say when you go onto BBC iPlayer, it does say, are you 16 or over?
Yeah.
There's like a little box that comes up and you have to check it. So if you're younger than 16, we're not saying rush out onto online and watch it. and then you have nightmares, or you then go and ask mum and dad, why are these two guys in bed together? Just a word of warning. It is an adult show.
It's a YA. I was listening to a podcast yesterday where they just kept banging on about, been reading any YA this week? YA? Young adult. Oh, right, young adult. Okay.
Yes.
I must have said it about 20 times. So it's a YA program.
It is. So just like to put that out there.
Yeah.
We don't want any emails from any disgruntled, angry parents because they've watched Class after listening to our podcast. It is an adult show. So there you go.
There you go. So yeah, well, we'll see. See where we are next week.
Indeedy. Right. We're on to our regular review.
Let's get back to Doctor Who.
Thankfully, let's get back to what we're here for. I was going to try and do a little Scottish accent then, because I really like Tennant's Scottish accent in this.
Go on.
It's gone now. Adam.
Oh, go on, do it.
Adam, what are we going to be reviewing this week?
I'm not even going to attempt one. It is
Look, before we go on Fanny's wee beastie, what are we doing this week, Adam?
You know that bit when Rose tries to do the accent and he's like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. See, I'm not going to attempt an accent because somebody told me off, didn't they, on the Facebook a couple of weeks back. They were like, Adam, please don't do that accent again. So I'm not going to.
I think David Tennant's got where is he from? Glasgow. I'm sure he's from Glasgow, isn't he?
Is he?
Yeah. And I always think he's from Edinburgh because he hasn't got a thick, heavy Glaswegian accent, because I always think of people from Glasgow to have like a really thick, heavy accent. It's a lot heavier. And then Edinburgh's like a bit, I don't know. Anyway, crack on.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I was just looking to see where he was from, but I can't find out. Anyway, look, this week we are reviewing the 10th Doctor story, Tooth and Claw.
The story goes back 300 years. Every full moon, the howling rings through the valley. Next morning, livestock is found ripped apart and devoured.
Might I introduce Her Majesty Queen Victoria?
This is a man who becomes an animal.
A werewolf?
It can't be an actual wolf.
Bullets can't stop it. They'll buy you time. Now run!
May God forgive me.
Lots of growling and snarling going on.
Yeah, it's quite fitting watching this around Halloween, actually. It fitted in quite nicely.
Indeed.
I thought. Yeah.
Tooth and Claw. It was out in April 2006.
God.
10 years ago.
2006?
Yeah. Well, over 10 years ago now.
Oh, my goodness.
I know, right? I know.
That's scary, yeah.
Written by RTD, directed by Euros Lyn. Yes, overseen by... this was really good. This was like one of my favourite producing teams. This was Russell T Davies and Julie Gardner.
Don't forget Phil.
And old Phil Collinson. Yeah, old Phil.
Yeah, they were the three amigos, weren't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so Tooth and Claw, the story is very roughly the Doctor and Rose end up in Scotland in the year 1879. Because I think they tried to go to 1979.
They're trying to get to an Ian Jury concert or something, aren't they?
To see a concert, yes. But they end up in 1879. They get absconded by the Queen's Scotch Guards because they're accompanying the Queen to somewhere. And they end up going to this big old mansion house, the Torchwood Estate, and which has been previously overrun by these mysterious monks who are very, very good at kung fu, it seems.
Yeah.
And from that point on, it becomes very apparent very quickly that the mysterious gentleman locked up in the cage in the cellar is in fact a werewolf. Whether he is an actual werewolf, I'm not sure. It looks, as they often do in Doctor Who, it's one of those situations where what we think is an old classic monster turns out to be an alien of some sort.
Yeah, there's a lot of mythology going on, isn't there?
Yes, and there's a few grisly, horrible deaths, which we don't really see in too much graphic nature. But at the end of the day, the Doctor saves the day via a giant diamond and a telescope.
Yeah, as you do.
As you do.
A lot of gnashing of teeth in this, isn't there? Like you said, a lot of...
Yes. Yeah, especially when old Wolfie breaks free.
Yeah.
Right. What do you reckon, buddy?
Yeah, overall, I quite like this one. Yeah, I think it's got an absolutely cracking start to it with the whole Kung Fu monks. A brilliant opening sequence, I thought, with all that going on. Very Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and really well shot and directed and all that. Story-wise, I think it's decent. I think it's pretty good. There's a little bit towards the end where it kind of loses it a little bit for me, but it does draw itself back in. So for me, overall, quite a good little story, this one. A lot more grisly than I remember. This is why I said it fitted in well with Halloween, because some of it's pretty scary stuff, actually, considering we are talking, like you just said, 2006. I know we don't see anything, but there's some really good horror going on in this, and most of it's implied, like with the guy in the box and the tension with him, and obviously the wolf chewing people to bits. And yeah, it's a lot more grisly than I remembered it to be, but for the better. I think they handled it really well. It's just right for Doctor Who. It's just scary enough for Doctor Who. A lot scarier than I thought it was. So yeah, overall, mate, I like this one. There is a few issues which we'll go into, but overall, pretty good. What about you?
Yeah, I like it. I like it because it's got a good mix of sort of great Doctor Who in there, mixed with some scary elements. And it's the age-old thing about Doctor Who, isn't it? Where you've got when you're watching it with your kids, maybe, and you've got the kids with a pillow up in front of their face, and you've got the hand, but you're watching it through the gap in your hand, and you're like, oh. So it is quite scary in a couple of places. Yeah,
especially with the guy in the box, isn't it? When they're sort of building up to that, it's really creepy stuff. Yeah,
very creepy. And then what I like about it also is that it sort of kicks up through the gears as you go through the episode. It doesn't sort of, the only bit where we have sort of a quiet-ish moment is where they're trapped in the library.
Yeah.
You know, but other than that, it sort of ramps up quite nicely. I mean, it kicks off quite action-packed, isn't it? Like you say, with the monks at the beginning, and they're, kicking the crap out of the farmers. And then the Doctor turns up, and very quickly, they're at dinner and there's a full moon, the guy turns into the werewolf, and, it's quite fast-paced, and there's quite a bit of action, from that point on. So it does keep you gripped. You don't really want to look away because a lot's going on. It's very good, and I really like David Tennant in this one as well. I mean, I like David Tennant anyway, but it's quite cool to see him, with his natural accent.
Yeah, it's a nice idea, that, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's
cool.
That.
Which was great, and he was, just some good interactions with Pauline Collins, who plays Queen Victoria. Some good stuff there, and the only thing that I wasn't too sort of fussed about was Rose in this one. I found her a little bit, just a bit annoying overall.
A little bit. I thought she was blimmin' annoying. For me, she's the only really bad thing in it. I found her excruciatingly annoying in it, much more than I remembered her being, actually. Now, I really didn't like Rose in this one at all.
Yeah, that's the same.
She really got on my wick with the whole will she say we are not amused thing. It just, oh no.
Yeah, and that's the same for me. I don't remember her being quite as annoying as she was until I rewatched it, and I thought, yeah, I remember now. She's quite, she just grates on you a little bit, doesn't she?
Mm-hmm. I know we normally talk about the Doctor and Rose towards the end, but as you've mentioned, Tennant, this is very early days for him, isn't it? This is only his second story. Well, It's his
third,
second story. It is,
sort of.
yeah, if you include the Christmas Invasion. So we had last week, we would have had, what was it called? The cat one.
New Earth.
New Earth.
Yeah.
Oh, which was not a good start to his era, I didn't think. So I remember sort of when this went out thinking, God, this is better than last week, because that was a real letdown. That was, because there was such big expectations for Tennant and his first proper series. And I thought this did a cracking job, bringing the series back, because I wasn't impressed with New Earth at all. This seemed much more like, I was like, yeah, this is what we want. So I'm glad it still stood up like that, because I was wondering yesterday when I rewatched it whether it would be as good as I remembered, because I think at the time I liked it a lot more just because it was so much better than the week before, if you see what I mean. I remember thinking, we're back on track, this is better. But yeah, I'm happy to say I did still enjoy it, actually. And I thought the CGI and stuff was not too bad, because that's the thing I thought was going to be the most dated. I thought, when I rewatched this, I bet anything the werewolf looks rubbish now. Mm-hmm. It's not too bad, because they keep it off screen for quite a lot of the time, don't they? So when the guy actually morphs into the werewolf, it's actually pretty good for the time. I think it still looks pretty good, actually. So even the werewolf, although it does look a bit dated CGI wise, I think it still works really, really well in terms of the episode. So yeah, pretty good overall. There is a thing with the Doctor and Rose, though, that I think one of our listeners has commented this as well, and I think when we get to the comments later, he has summed it up perfectly. But he's touched on the one thing that really does annoy me about this episode is this smugness between the Doctor and Rose, and the fact that they just seem to be delighting in all the murder and stuff at one point, which I still find quite uncomfortable. I love the fact that the Queen Victoria pulls them up on it at the end. She's like, you have people dying around you and you wallow in this world. In fact, you seem to enjoy it or whatever. And I thought, I'm glad she's told them, because that scene where poor old Sir Robert, he gets chewed up by the wolf, and they sort of dwell on it for a second, and then they're like, but hey, werewolf though, and they're like, yeah, werewolf, right? And they're all just like loving it. I thought, that's not good. People are dying around you here. I mean, yeah, it puts Rose in a really bad light, but it does put the Doctor in a bad light as well, because he's just as bad. He's sort of going along with it. So I didn't like that part of it. I felt the Doctor maybe should have pulled her up there rather than actually agreeing with her and being like, yeah, I know, wow, this is cool, right? And I think he should have been like, Rose, people are dying here, this isn't fun, and it also would have brought the tension back in rather than being what I thought was quite a flippant moment. So that's the one bit that does irk me about this story. But as I said, I like the fact that the Queen Victoria, funny enough, sort of pulls their collar up later on about it. I was like, yeah, you tell them, you banish them, you put them right.
Yeah, and I think thinking back on it, I think maybe that was intentional for the Doctor and Rose to be written that way, because they needed to be
scolded.
Yeah, there needed to be that sort of teacher or sort of mum and kids or teacher student thing going on with Queen Victoria. I think she needed to be. She needed an excuse to tell them off, and like you say, pull their collar up a bit. And I mean, it didn't. I did feel a little bit like that when I rewatched it. I did feel a little bit like, they are sort of going along with this, and they're having a lot more fun than you would expect them to have, seeing as people are getting eaten and killed, and people have died and stuff. So I do get you, mate. It's I did feel that a little bit, but then I think they're supposed to be like that, so that Queen Victoria, her character, because she is very stern. And
she is.
Very
proper.
Yeah. So we'll get on to Queen Victoria in a little while. Mm-hmm. So in terms of story and stuff like that, like I said at the beginning, it does crank along quite nicely. It does get going. It's quite action-packed and stuff. I thought the direction was pretty good.
Yeah, I thought the direction was good.
Overall.
Yeah.
There wasn't a moment where I thought, wow, this looks really flat and this looks a bit boring. Because I thought they had some really nice I mean, it was really nice scenery where the TARDIS lands at the beginning out in the wherever it is. I'm assuming it's in Wales somewhere. It's not out in Scotland. It all looks really nice. And then when they're down in the basement, and it's got that lovely shot where the cage is in shadow and you can just see his face with those black eyes and stuff. It's shot nice. And when they open the doors and the moonlight streaming through, it's really nice. And then some of the old mansion rooms and stuff like that. So I thought it was shot quite nicely.
Yeah, and I think it builds very well, because I do like the fact that as Sir Robert is telling the tale of the myth of this werewolf, as that's all being told around the table, the tension's building, and we're sort of getting to see the guy with the big dark eyes in the cage, and it builds very nicely, I thought, in terms of tension at that point. And again, that's down to the direction. I thought that's done really well, actually, because you were sort of probably sat. I mean, I knew he's going to turn into a werewolf. I've said it before, but I was still sat there thinking, yeah, this is good stuff. What's going on here? This is building well. So yeah, direction wise, pretty good, I thought. And I do, talking to the story, I do like the fact that it turns out that that the Prince Albert and whoever owned the mansion had kind of already worked everything out and had set everything up to, they'd already thought of a way to get rid of this alien werewolf. So it just needed that finishing touch. So I like that, rather than them trying to find a solution. It was like, they've already been working on this for years. We've just got to finish the job. And I thought that was quite a nice bit of storytelling as well.
Yeah. No, 100% agree. Yeah, it's good. So in terms of, before we get on to like it being a sort of classic werewolfy type story, what did you think was one thing that I was, and I'm sure this comes down to a sort of me being greedy really, but I wanted to see a bit more, the monks.
Yeah.
Those guys, because all we see of them really is, they hand out a few slaps at the beginning, and then as they're sort of waiting around and, waiting for the change to happen, they have this chant, don't they? They go through this chant as they're looking at the moon, and then we don't really see them after that. So I'd like to have seen a bit more backstory to those guys, and a bit more, because they did look quite cool.
They did, and they're so good in that opening 5 minutes as well. What actually does happen to them? Because
you don't really see. I mean,
no,
because they get the main dude, the leader of the leader of the monks, I guess.
Yeah, he gets shot.
He gets a shot. He gets shot by Queen Victoria.
I love that scene, because he's like, "You wouldn't dare, woman," or something like that. And she's like,
yeah. So she blows him away.
She don't take any nonsense.
And then the rest of them, you don't.
I don't think we see what happens, because they're outside wearing the. Is it mistletoe? What is it that they've got around them? Yeah, they're outside wearing that, just sort of keeping guard. But I don't remember that we find out really what happens with them. They could have been used more. You're right. They definitely could have been used more. They perhaps could have added to a bit of tension, because the only other bit that sort of, I think, the other part where the story falls a bit flat is where there is a lot of chasing at one point, and you sort of think, yeah, we get it. The wolf's on the loose. So you could have had the monks helping out a bit there as well, just to add a bit more, possibly, because they're pretty good. But yeah, you're right, they don't really do anything after the first 5 minutes. So
it would have been cool to see a bit more, into why they worship the werewolf and all that stuff, because they're clearly a sort of cult of some sort, and they sort of devoted their lives to this werewolf sort of culture.
I wasn't over clear why they wanted the werewolf to bite Victoria while watching it. That's I assume they want her to turn into a werewolf. I guess
to continue,
or the alien does to continue it. Yeah, I didn't think that was overly clear in the story, though.
No,
I wasn't sure what was going on with that.
Yeah, because who was the guy? Sir Robert. Sir Robert. When they were having the dinner. And he was talking through the story of, the old folklores of the werewolf. I'm pretty sure he said that there's a young, either a kid or a young man is offered up from each village or whatever, and then he would continue the bloodline of the werewolf.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, but you're right, though. It's interesting to see why they would deviate from that lineage, why they would want to,
the Queen,
the royal, bloodline to take that on. So, because he does say that they've been waiting for, donkey's years for the moon to be in the right place and for Queen Victoria to be at that point in, in the country and so on. So, yeah, but that's what I mean. We don't really know too much about why that's going on and all that stuff. And it transpires later, doesn't it, that the Doctor and Rose think that maybe the royal family are werewolves.
Yeah, I can just imagine Russell chuckling to himself right in that line. It is quite funny, actually. Actually, that is one of the things I do really like about this story, is that it doesn't feel like a typical Russell T Davies story to me. It's much darker than a lot of the stuff that he put into Who. And yeah, it's very different, I think, for his style of writing. So I vividly remember my cousin texting me when this first aired after it finished, saying, because he was really unimpressed with New Earth as well, and I got this text almost immediately as the credits rolling saying, "Blimey, did RTD just write a decent episode?" And I was like, that didn't feel like RTD, did it? That was, I mean, I liked RTD, but yeah, he was hit or miss sometimes. But to me, this was a strong script from him, and definitely. He definitely tried something different, I thought. Absolutely. And if the next episode, School Reunion, is a very typical RTD. Yeah, and yet it's not... Who's wrote it? Because that's written by... Is it Toby Whithouse or somebody? It's Toby Whithouse, yeah. Yeah. So that's School Reunion feels... Even though it wasn't written by Russell, it feels like a very typical RTD era episode. Yeah. So, yeah, I know what you mean. It is quite dark in some places. Do you think Tennant's first series should have kicked off with this? Because I remember Russell talking about this at the time. He felt it was the stronger of the two stories, but he'd always in his mind put New Earth first. He always thought that should be the first episode. But he said when they were sort of all finished, ready to go, he did contemplate switching them and putting this out first and then New Earth to get the series off to a stronger start. And I'm not sure, because I think he made the right choice. This is definitely the stronger story, but I don't know if it would have worked as a series opener. Getting a slap. Series opener, because although it is better than New Earth, I think it fits better as a second story, because they kind of drift off and are just starting a New Earth, aren't they? Whereas this one, they already feel like they're on their adventures. I mean, I love the TARDIS flying through with the jukebox going and all that, because I think you would do that, wouldn't you? You would have the tunes cranking in the TARDIS if you're flying through space and time. You'd have a bit of Ian Jury on and stuff. That's a really tough question, mate. It's absolutely, it's the stronger of the two. But would you want to sort of build yourself up too big to begin with, and in episode 2 it's like, oh yeah, exactly, that's what I think. Yeah, so maybe it was like, New Earth as a series opener, it's probably a good one to get to know even though the story is not great, it's probably a good one to get to know the Doctor, without there being too much noise going on, because this one it does move. Although there's a couple of scenes where it slows down and it's more sort of conversational, it does move along quite quickly. And there's, it's quite there's a lot of action going on. So maybe this wouldn't be the best story to get to know a new Doctor off the bat, if that makes sense. Yeah, that's true. And I think there were a lot of people jumped on board with Tennant as well. I think Chris did a great job bringing the audience back, and then he got the ball rolling, and a lot of people did jump on board at this point with Tennant, didn't they? Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah, probably the right choice. Yeah, right. So let's talk about. Let's talk about the. So the basis of the story is then. So these monk guys, they want to create a new empire, don't they? They call it the Empire of the Wolf. So they want to infect the Queen. So when she has kids, it'll be carried down and blah blah blah. And then the people at the Torchwood estate, they sort of get mixed up in it all, don't they? Yeah. And one of the aspects that I thought was quite good was the strength of Sir Robert's wife. What's her name? Lady Isabel.
I thought she was quite good because when she gets trapped, because it's quite a good transformation. Not as physical as like into a werewolf, but when she's trapped in the cellar with Rose and the other maids, and they can see that the young lad, about to change into werewolf, they were all absolutely crapping themselves. And she's, she can't really get with it, and Rose is like yelling at her to get with it. And then when we see her a little bit later, she's kind of, she's sort of grown a set by that point, if you like. So she really sort of snaps the maids into action and like, let's get going. So I like, that's one thing actually that I do like in the RTD era, is that he's really good with characters, whether it's the main cast or some of the supporting characters. He really knows how to move characters along in a story, in an episode. Because it's not like classic Who where you've got, 4 or 6, on average parts to sort of progress a character and, get to know them a lot more. You've only got 45 minutes to do that. And I think that's one of the things that's so good about RTD is his character writing.
Yeah, well, that does lead me nicely on, because I thought she was good, and obviously she's married to Sir Robert, so that does lead nicely onto him. And he's a character which I thought was very well written by RTD, very well acted by Derek Riddle, and I was genuinely upset when he dies. Again, this comes back to the writing and the performance. I really didn't want him to sacrifice himself. I was just like, no, because because of the way he's written, he's a good man, and him and his wife, like you said, it's amazing actually. I don't know what it is about the writing that makes, because I really cared for both of them. Like you said, I thought Lady Isabel, Sir Robert, there's only a few scenes where they're actually together, but I think you immediately sense the strong bond between them as a couple, in a very short space of time. So I really didn't want him to get nobbled off. I was almost like, no, Sir Robert, don't do it. He was really good. I thought really good performance from Derek Riddle as Sir Robert. And
what made his sort of sacrifice, because he knew 100% he was never going to beat the werewolf, so he knew he was going to go into his death. But it made it harder to watch because he was quite noble with it, because the reason why he sacrificed himself, because he wanted his wife to view him as a sort of a hero, to sort of go out, which was harder to watch, because then you felt for him more, because then you felt, he's not just doing it because, it's for he doesn't want to lose face or, pride or anything like that. He wants his missus to view him as someone that helped in defeating the monster.
Yeah, and again, a great bit of writing, because you're right. He sees it that he's guilty of treason.
That's it,
doesn't he? For betraying, even though he's not. He was he is, but he was blackmailed into it. I mean, he didn't really have a choice, did he? Let's put it that way. So, but he just thinks if he does this, then that cancels out the bad, and like you said, he'll be remembered as a hero rather than someone that committed treason. Again, all in the writing, and very simple, very good. I just really liked his character. I was just very sad he got killed. But what do you think of the Doctor's reaction when he says that, though? He's like, good man. He knows that Sir Robert's about to die. He's going to get himself killed in honor to save them, and the Doctor's content in letting him do that, isn't he? He's like, he just looks at him, knows what's going to happen. He's like, okay, off you go. You've made that choice. But what do you think of the Doctor doing that? Do you think the Doctor should try to stop him?
No, I think that would have been worse off for the story.
Oh, it would, undoubtedly.
Yeah. So it's quite a nice little bit actually, because David Tennant's very good at that, where he can portray what's going on sort of emotionally just with his face. So there is that bit where he's sort of at the door, isn't he? And Sir Robert's on the other side, and then his face changes from this sort of look of respect and admiration for him. And like you said, he says good man. So he knows he's going to, like you said, he knows he's going to die. But that was quite nice, because that was the one. Well, there were a couple of bits really, but that was the one main thing that sort of pulled the Doctor out of that sort of flippant, what's the word? Sort of that flippant, almost humorous way of, because like we said at the beginning, the Doctor and Rose are quite, they're not really too bothered about people dying and, that kind of thing. They're a bit egotistical. But that was one of the little moments where the Doctor's not like that.
Yeah.
He has he's very respectful of his decision. So that's quite a nice little scene.
It is a good scene. Yeah, it's a very good scene.
Yeah. In terms of story then, a bit more before we get on to some of the other characters, I also thought it was quite a cool idea that the Queen's late husband, Prince Albert, sorry, no, not her husband. Hold on. No, it was her husband, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Albert.
I think so.
Yeah. I thought it was quite good that he was involved in it all. And it was all sort of unfolding before Queen Victoria's eyes. So, she was obviously, she knows of the Torchwood estate because she'd been there years before with her husband, because he was working with this guy. Was it Sir Robert's dad?
I believe so, yeah.
So he was working with him to build this big telescope because they obviously knew about the lichens or the werewolves, whatever. And they were basically sorting out something to defeat them, because they all thought it was a telescope looking at the stars, but in fact it was the other way around. It was, collecting the moonlight and concentrating it on, So that, I thought that was a clever little bit in the story where, her late husband, she carries around this big diamond that he was always, never happy with, because clearly he was always trying to cut it down and reshape it so it was, optimum, to work in this big telescope thing. But because he died prematurely, he was never able to do it. So she now carries it around, and that's the thing that saves her. So I thought that was a really clever little thing there. And I think the Doctor references as well, doesn't he? He said, I think he says to Queen Victoria, what is it he says? I think your husband, gave this to you to save your life or something.
Yeah.
So, he sort of knew that. So I thought that was quite good, because that didn't need huge exposition to go into all of that. We knew, that was the case.
Yeah, I liked that. I liked the way all the elements come together, just like that as well. And I do like the fact that RTD managed to incorporate some real life facts into the story as well. I always like it when they do that. Not too far, didn't change any major events of history, but he just threw in these nice little facts like this diamond, that the Prince Albert used to get cut down all the time, which I assume is true. I don't know, but it certainly sounds like it's true. The fact that the Queen gets the cut at the end, and in real life the Queen suffered from, what was it she had? Hemophilia.
Hemophilia.
A form of hemophilia.
Yep.
So I like the fact that he's thrown in a few little true facts there, just incorporated them in the storyline, because it teaches you things that you didn't know without you realizing, if you know what I mean. Like, I didn't know any of that. So it's it's clever, I thought, and nice and subtle. As I said, it's nothing big, it's nothing earth changing in it. It's just there for you to sort of absorb. So yeah,
no, it's very good, very, very good. Right, let's talk about some of the other characters then. So let's talk about the wee lad with the black eyes. Looks very scary in the cage.
Yeah, he looks good, doesn't he? Yeah.
I always hate seeing characters in films or TV shows with black eye lenses. It really does creep the hell out of me.
Especially when they're big like his were.
Yeah. So I thought it was quite creepy, and that was one of the things that I really like about some Doctor Who episodes, where it's scary. It does push the boundary a little bit, and it does make you, it pushes your heart rate up a little bit, and it makes you want to, because sometimes we like being scared, as bizarre as that sounds.
Yeah.
There is this, I don't know, there's a study, isn't there? There's various psychological studies that we like being scared. It's like a weird thing.
Yeah. It gets the heart rate racing. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is exactly it. This is exactly, why Doctor Who is very cool sometimes, because it does creep you out. There are certain things where it's not nice to watch, but you can't help watch it. It's, you just want to see what's going on in the story. So I think this is one of those episodes around that bit anyway, where we see the lad in the cage. Not only his how he looks with the eye lenses and
the teeth,
his teeth and stuff. It's the way he talks. He's because he's inhibited by this being or whatever it is, whatever. You can tell it's not the lad talking; it's the being inside him, and he's very like the way he talks to Rose,
possessed.
Yeah, it's like and when he says to Rose about there's something of the wolf about you.
That's right. Yeah, referencing the bad wolf.
Yeah, it's but the way that he's delivering it and stuff, it's very creepy.
I thought those scenes were great. I thought they were properly scary. I thought he looked properly scary. In many ways, I found him more frightening than the actual werewolf. I think because, like you said, it's a real person who looks really quite creepy. I think there's something about somebody being possessed anyway, which I think is instantly scary. But yeah, good performance. Tom Smith is the actor, I thought he did a great job, considering he's trapped in this weird cage and has to morph into a werewolf. But yeah, he delivers it well. It builds well. The scenes are proper scary. As I said, I was quite shocked how scary they were, actually.
Yeah,
considering this is now 10 years old. I remembered the RTD era being quite light and fluffy with the odd little bit here and there. But it's proper good stuff. Proper good, scary Doctor Who.
Yeah. And then after he changes, we don't see Tom Smith anymore. That's the CG werewolf. But I thought they did a great job with the werewolf. It's sometimes really, I think, like humanoid characters or animals or anything that's got any sort of character is often the hardest CG to get right. Because it's not like, a space scene or a sun burning up or a spaceship. How a character moves and stuff can be extremely difficult to get right. And if you don't get it right, it just looks awful. But I thought they did a pretty good job with this.
Yeah, I did.
It does look pretty good. Even, it looks pretty good as well. It looks really, quite evil and menacing. But the way it moves as well, there's a bit where it's being chased up the staircase and the camera's at the top looking down and you can see it like really racing up and you don't know if they're going to get into the room on time and stuff. So it was done really well. So, and that's all with CG. There was no, stand-in or anything. It's just, I thought it was really well done.
No, I thought it worked incredibly well. Like those scenes you said about the stairs, the scene of it, doing the what do you call it? The sort of call out to, with the moon. What do you call it? Doing its cry,
howl.
Its howl.
Yeah.
That's right. Howl with the moon in the background. Visually, really, really good. I thought. Yeah,
very good. We've spoken about the monks. What about some of the soldiers? And well, they don't get any parts, but there's one guy, Captain Reynolds. He has a really funny scene, doesn't he? Where when they're around the dinner table and Queen Victoria has invited him to dinner, and there's a bit where she says something and he sort of really over eggs the pudding with his laugh and stuff like that. And in true fashion, Queen Victoria fashion, she slaps him down to reality. She's like, "Don't get carried away, mate. I've invited you to dinner, and but just keep you cool. Don't get used to it," sort of thing. Because up to that point, he's been very stern and very plays the soldier. Very security conscious. There's everything's by the book, and then we see him. He's had a few
sherries.
He's knocked back a few sherries and whatever, and he's just really in high spirits because he gets to have lunch with the boss or dinner with the boss.
Yeah.
And then he starts to sort of suck up to her a little bit. She says something and he's cracking up and everyone's, okay, wasn't that funny?
Yeah. He sort of represents the character that we'd probably be like if we were in that situation. You'd just be so nervous and just like I said, you'd throw a few drinks down your neck to try and countermeasure the nerves and, you'd laugh all the jokes way over the top and But,
not a bad character though.
No, he's all right. Yeah. He's not a bad little.
He doesn't get killed, does he?
Well, it's weird. I was just trying to think what did happen to him.
I can't remember.
I only watched this yesterday and I can't remember. He's another one that seems to just disappear. He doesn't get eaten, does he?
I don't. Oh.
Do you know, I honestly can't remember.
I can't remember if he does or not, but it's not a bad little character.
No. I have a feeling he might get munched.
Munched
I'm not sure. Not sure.
So then we have we've spoken about Lady Isabel, spoken about the monks, the head monk, Father Angelo. Right, Queen Victoria then, Pauline Collins.
Pauline Collins, yeah, good casting, I thought.
She never breaks character.
No.
From start to finish, you know that she means business.
Yeah, I thought she was very, very good. Yeah, she's really stern, isn't she? She's very proper, and she keeps describing Rose as the naked girl and stuff. Is that just because she's got a bit of flesh on show?
That's right. Yeah, that wasn't the done thing back in the 18th, the 17th century, but or the 19th century. Yeah, but one thing that was great to watch, her opening scene. She stamps her authority on the entire episode from, the first moment we see her.
Yes.
And that never falters right up until the end. I mean, she gets worse towards the end. I mean, the opening scene where she's quite understanding of why the Doctor and Rose are there, even though she's not 100% happy, you can see. But then she gets increasingly you can tell that the Doctor and Rose are getting on her nerves a little bit as the episode gets, through the motions. And then the final bit, she is proper miffed. So at the end, after she's knighted the Doctor and made Rose a dame, and they do the off, it doesn't stop there, because at the end, when she's outside and she's talking to Lady Isabel, she's like, we're going to set up this team to sort of, protect our borders from more than just, the seas. And we're going to call it Torchwood. And effectively, we find out that Torchwood is set up just to stop the Doctor.
Yeah.
So she's really, she's on it. even though she's had a few beers and, she's her heart rate's gone up, she's like, no, this ain't happening.
I love that. I love the again, coming back to Russell's writing, the fact that he's showing the difference between how people were then in terms of their morals and the way they dressed, and her disgust at the sort of because there's a bit where the Doctor and Rose, I don't know if they kiss or they hug or something, and she's just appalled at this. Yeah. This behavior, this is not how we do things. This is disgusting. And I really like the fact he's showing the difference of how we used to be, that our morals and the way we used to present ourselves and act, back then, to how the Doctor and Rose obviously being, representing modern values and modern way of life. It's really good how he shows that difference, with her disgust at it. And some of it, you sort of look back and think, maybe she was right. As I said, I love her speech at the end. I think it's absolutely brilliant the way she pulls the two of them up and says to him, I don't know what this world is and why you wallow in it with so much delight. You should go away and think about what you've done, and all that sort of stuff. And I thought, great. Again, brilliant bit of writing by RTD there, I thought.
Very good. Because she feels like she has to honour them in some way because they've saved her life effectively. So she does like the right thing in that respect. But then, as soon as she's done it, she's like, now bugger off.
Yeah.
I don't want to see you, ever. And then she sets up Torchwood, which is obviously a nice little...
Lovely little...
that's how Torchwood came to be.
When did Torchwood start? The actual series?
Oh, was it 2008?
Was this
2007?
Yeah, I was trying to think. Is this just a little sparkle in Russell's eye at this point that makes me wonder how far he'd got into it, or how far he'd got down the line of developing the series in his mind, and where, I don't know. But it is great. I mean, it's lovely. It's a lovely setup for Torchwood, isn't it? And nice to think that she started it all there and then. And just going back to the casting, I thought Pauline Collins was spot on as a Queen Victoria. I thought she acted it brilliantly, and was really, really good.
Yeah, and it's almost a little sort of come full circle now, isn't it? Because we find out, the Doctor and Rose, they suspect that the royal family are werewolves, which has started with Queen Victoria. Queen Victoria being a werewolf. So, it's kind of a nice little every cloud scenario where we, it's now a case of, with Jenna Coleman, who's just played Queen Victoria on TV, was she a werewolf?
I'd forgotten about that. Yes, I'd like to think she was.
Every cloud.
I'm just looking, actually. Do you know, Torchwood actually started. So when did this air? So this aired in April 2006, right?
Yeah.
The first episode of Torchwood was October 2006.
Oh, was it the same year? Oh, okay.
Yes, I didn't realise. Like you, I was thinking it was, another year or so down the line. I don't remember it being so close to. So yeah, old Russell, he's got it all going on in that brain, isn't he? He's sort of plotting ahead, putting the seeds out there. Oh, what's this Torchwood then? And then bang, October, there it is. So brilliant. I love that. I love the way the two would have coincided like that together. Yeah, good stuff, Russell.
That huge cranial Attica housing all of that good stuff.
Yeah.
Right, let's move on to the Doctor and Rose then. So,
yes,
like we've said, Rose is a wee bit annoying in this one. She's just. I'd
go further than that. I found her incredibly annoying in it,
and I think this was the episode that really kicked off quite a substantial amount of people's dislike for the relationship side of things between the Doctor and companion, because they are quite flirty and they are quite.
Flippant,
not
a bit egotistical,
not your sort of typical Doctor companion that you've seen so far, because the Ninth Doctor and Rose were nowhere near this level of flirtiness and all that stuff. So this was like, because they weren't really like this in New Earth either, because it was all sort of new at this point, and they were like two mates knocking about in that one. I felt it was this one really where there's a lot of hugging going on and a lot of giggling and flirtatious, and and I think that divides Who fans from the Tennant era. Whether you don't mind the whole love story between Rose and Ten, or if it just drives you mad and it's not the done thing for companions. So I don't know. I'm not really sure where I fall on it. Really, sometimes it annoys me. Other times, I don't really see the harm in it. I don't know. I sort of go through phases where I'm okay with it, and then it bothers me a little bit. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't not over enamored with it. I find I much prefer the dynamic between Rose and the Ninth Doctor, because I like Series 1 Rose, I suppose, because we've got all the stuff with Jackie and Mickey, and I like her in Series 1. I don't like her very much in Series 2, because in New Earth she gets to do all the silly stuff where Cassandra's possessed her, and I didn't like any of that. And she does kiss the Doctor, although technically it's Cassandra. So yeah, like you said, this is kind of the start of it. I just didn't like her performance or the way she was written at all in this episode. I found her just generally really annoying, very sort of full of herself, and not a fan of Billy in this. She's one of the few things in it I just don't like. I could do without her in it, to be honest. It's just not a fan of her in this story. I think it is the beginning of the downside of Rose for me. I still like the character, don't get me wrong, and there are stories where she's a lot better, but this is leading down that road to the more smug, egotistical Rose, which I didn't like. I much prefer Series 1 Rose.
And we'll leave it there. The Doctor, because I've got nothing else to say, mate. I totally agree with Rose. Yeah, she doesn't really, well, apart from helping free the maids and all that stuff from the cellar, she doesn't really do much after that. She helps the Doctor with the big wooden wheel thing that pushes the telescope thing down, but she's trying to be funny too much, and then she's trying to be, it doesn't really pay off.
They should have edited some of that "We Are Not Amused" stuff, shouldn't they? That joke they should have been watching that, but thinking, actually, that doesn't really work. It's not funny. It's actually really annoying.
It's not that funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll leave it there with Rose and the Doctor.
David Tennant. Third story for him. I actually thought he was very good in it, considering this is very early days for him as the Doctor. So still finding his feet, you would assume. But I thought he was very good in it, actually. As I said, I might not have liked the interaction with Rose that much, because they do come across as two sort of giggling school kids or something at some point, but I thought he was very good in it. Yes. I liked him a lot. Thought, considering how early on in this stage of his Doctor, I thought he was particularly good, actually.
Yes, I concur. I think he's very good in it. I think seeing as like you say, very early days in his tenure as the Doctor, but just playing it really well right from the off. And the only thing that lets it down, like we said, is just some of this stuff with Rose. But other than that, I thought it was really good. He was quite funny in it at times. He was quite straight in some points, like when he was, like we said, when Sir Robert went off, and you could see in his face that, you know, there was no messing about, there was no ego there. It was quite straight, and at the end as well, where, you know, he's just happy to have been banned from the world by Queen Victoria. They jump in the TARDIS and off they go. It's quite a nice way to finish it. It's not all sort of doom and gloom, because obviously it's not the case. You know, but yeah, I just thought he was really good.
He's good in the action scenes, isn't he? He's very good, like you said, when he's playing it straight. He's very good in those scenes, like when he's shouting, "Bullets won't stop it," and all that. You know, you really feel he's giving a good performance. And I'll tell you one tiny little standout moment for me as well was when he first sees the guy morphing into the werewolf, and there's a shot of him, and they've obviously got like a little wind machine blowing his hair, but it's beautifully lit, and he's just standing absolutely in awe of this creature, isn't he?
Yeah.
It's just his face. I think you said it earlier, how he's very good at acting with just you know, his emotions. So he doesn't say anything, but he's just like, absolutely in awe of this creature in front of him, and he's clearly loving it.
Yeah.
So again, he's very good at doing that sort of stuff. I like the fact he gets to use his accent, his native accent, for a little bit. It must have been quite nice for him to not have to put on the Mockney for, you know, half the episode. Is it? He gets
Roughly,
to use, yeah. And I love the fact he introduces himself as Jamie McCrimmon.
Oh yeah, it's a lovely.
Or is it James McCrimmon?
James,
he says it.
Yeah,
James McCrimmon, isn't it? He says, you know, which I thought was a lovely throwback to Jamie. So Jamie. Yeah, I'd forgotten that. I thought it was a nice moment.
Yeah, lovely.
But yeah, I think very good stuff from Tennant in this. Very good stuff.
Mm-hmm. Anything else you want to mention before we jump on to scores?
No. I think we've covered it, really. Yeah.
Right, let's do it. It's your turn first.
Oh, is it? I'm going with an 8 out of 10 on this one. Thought it was pretty good. I did sort of linger around the 7.5 for a while, but I think Tennant brings it up. And yeah, just the performances. So I'll go with an 8 out of 10.
Me too.
Oh, really? Oh, I thought you might be lower. Okay, that's good.
No, I think it's a great watch. I think it's just a great little standalone episode. That, you know, got some. I think it's an episode that offers many things. You know, it's got some humor in there. It's got some creepy, scary bits. It's got lots of action. It's got some great acting. It's just a really great Who episode to stick on. Very good.
Yeah. Good stuff. Yeah, it's engaging. Yeah.
It's engaging, yes. What did you guys think? Let's do our first audio review. This is Alex Kingdom.
Hello, Gary Adam from the Wrigley Rocks podcast. Now, I think I'm here. I don't know, a Grask stole my TARDIS, so I couldn't give you last week's review. But I got a Vortex Manipulator, and now I'm back. So, anyway, Tooth and Claw. It's pretty good. David Tennant and Billy are both in form here. The whole Queen Victoria, I believe it's Queen Victoria, in the story, she's very good. I love the wolf and how it's defeated. But one thing I think this episode has is a pacing issue, because it just doesn't make any sense with the whole murder plot as well. They're trying to murder her. I wish they'd have stuck to the wolf plot a bit more. But apart from that, it was a good episode, and it's one that I really enjoy in Series 2. I think it's a bit underrated, so I'm going to give it a 7.5. Is that too low? 7.5. Oh wait, 7.5 right, I don't know. But I just want to let you know now, guys, I have finally released the unboxing video of the Big Blue Box podcast giveaway. So yeah, I hope you guys will enjoy that. I gave him Gary the link. So yeah, just have a nice time. Hopefully I'll see you next week. Hopefully I get my TARDIS back as well. See you guys.
Cheers, Alex. I shall be watching that unboxing.
Yes, we shall do that.
Yes. I can see he struggled with the score just like me. I was like 7.58. Oh, yeah. So
it's not easy reviewing Who episodes.
It's not.
People think it's easy. Oh, just shove the 9 in there. There's lots of things to consider.
Yes, there is.
Yeah, there is. Right, over on Twitter, Daniel Fox says, the werewolf is scary, David and Billy are brilliant, and the use of Queen Victoria is a great idea. 8 out of 10.
Yeah, okay.
Mitch Davies, well worth a rewatch if you ignore the 10 Rose flirting. Otherwise, very atmospheric. It is very atmospheric, actually.
It is, and I think Murray's music is good in this. That adds to that atmosphere,
Yeah. And Loopy Lou says, excellent episode. One of my favourites. Nothing negative to say at all. 9 out of 10.
Oh, cheers, Loopy Lou.
Over on Facebook, Charlie Turner says, Tooth and Claw. Long sigh, in brackets. I think this one's all right. I give credit to the BBC for trying to make werewolf look like an actual werewolf, unlike what you see in werewolf films where they look like adorable puppets or grizzly bears. Like he declared the Doctor as Dr. James McCrimmon, who was referring to his old companion Jamie, which is very cool. Rose got annoying, though, when she tried to get Victoria to say, I'm not amused. Also, the ending was near perfection, where Queen Victoria ordered the creation of Torchwood. So overall, do I like this story? Yes, but I've seen much better, so we'll give it a 6 out of 10. Not one of the best, not one of the worst either. Keep up the good work, guys. See you next week. Thank you very much, Charlie.
Cheers, Charlie.
Neil Monday says, one of my favourites, werewolves, ninja monks and the Queen, what's not to like? It's a great story with the wonderful chemistry between Rose and Ten, adding a lot of fun to the episode. Rose really shines. It's engaging, funny, and hearing Tennant use his native accent is a little bit, for a little bit, is a joy. It's a solid 8 out of 10. P.S. Thanks for making such brilliant podcasts. You're very welcome, Neil.
Oh, cheers. Thanks, Neil. Sammy
Satine says, Ten and Rose end up in Scotland Victorian times. Meet Queen Victoria, a werewolf, and accidentally start Torchwood. Added bonus, Davey gets to use his own accent for a bit and introduce himself as James McCrinnan. Jamie, I love this episode. Great story about Queen Victoria and battling an alien. I love how Sir Robert's father invented the telescope-type device to save the Queen from the werewolf, and that Prince Albert has the diamond cut to save his wife. Monks are a bit creepy, especially that martial arts at the beginning, so Robert was cast well. She goes on to say, not sure if it's the same actress or if they have one on Big Finish or not for Queen Victoria. Rose does very well, getting everyone to pull out the chain, looking through books, helping the Doctor, helping the poor maid, etc. David is excellent as per usual. Love the bit in the library where he says books are an excellent weapon.
Yes.
His hair is a bit longer in this one than as he has it now. She gives it a 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. High score there.
Christopher Law. I can remember watching this one when I would have been about 9. Good atmosphere with some jumpy moments. I like the CG. Stands up pretty well today. Certainly better than some in Series 8. We concur very muchly there.
We do.
Lovely reference to Jamie. Queen Victoria is brilliant. Tennant and Piper also great. Double act. 8 out of 10.
Yeah, good stuff.
Another
Palmer. 8 out of 10.
Yeah, Lewis Palmer, a fairly good story, albeit very forgettable for me. Now, I can never remember anything from this story, even when I rewatch it. The CG werewolf was good for the time, and the guy's eyes when he is about to transform are very creepy. Jamie reference is cool, and it's nice to hear Tennant's native Scottish accent. I'll give it a 6 out of 10, mainly because of how forgettable it is.
Cheers, Lewis.
Thank you, Lewis. Last audio review, this is Joe Sweeney.
Hello again, Adam. Hope you guys are well. Tooth and Claw, it is one of the best episodes out of Series 2. It's quite dark in tone. It's got some few exciting moments, and it's got quite a fast pacing to it. David Tennant shined as always as a Doctor, and I liked Rose a lot in this episode. I think she was more caring and understanding, and she's more helpful to the Doctor and to the people, helping them escape from the werewolf. I just wish the writers write Rose like that in the other episodes, because most of the time in Series 2 I find her so very bratty and clingy and drooling all over Doctor. That's what mostly puts me off her character. I thought the werewolf worked so very well within the storyline, and I like the CGI behind it. And the monks was very good. I like the concept of how Torchwood Institute got created, and how the story arc got built up to the finale. I thought that was top notch. So overall, great episode. So give a score of 8 out of 10. Hope you enjoyed the podcast, guys. Speak soon. Take care. Bye bye for now.
Cheers, Joe. Another 8 out of 10.
Another 8. Yeah. Back on Facebook, Miles McKenzie. says, Tooth and Claw, absolutely love this one. The story felt well paced. Rose had something to do in this one. I found all the characters likeable and good casting choice for Queen Victoria. Werewolf had good CG for the time. What is the best thing about this episode is when the royal family, being werewolves, plot steps in as William and Kate's son was born on a full moon.
Oh, yeah.
Crikey Moses.
Whoa.
Overall, 9.5.
Yeah, very high. Good stuff.
Danny Brown, short and sweet. An absolute classic. One of my all-time favourite Who stories. Ninja monks and a werewolf and Queen Victoria, 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
Nice one. And lastly, Kevin Mullen. On first viewing, Tooth and Claw was exciting, funny, scary, and featured some really good CG. However, on subsequent watches, the cracks in the story begin to appear. The monks, they look impressive with their backflipping kung fu, but they really serve no purpose and are easily discarded. The Doctor and Rose arrive in Scotland and hilarity breaks out as David is allowed to use his natural accent, which Rose tries to copy with bad results. The ongoing joke of Rose trying to get the Queen Victoria to say her much quoted catchphrase is one is not amused will lead me to expose an element of the story that is deeply worrying. So anyway, the female residents of the house are locked up in the cellar, blah, 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 blah. These scenes are wonderfully creepy, and when the host does finally change form, we are treated to rather brilliant CG. It is quite good, actually.
It is.
Yes. It is here that everything goes downhill as the story becomes one long chase sequence, and it is also that the single most disturbing element comes into play. The Doctor and Rose are witness to the deaths of nearly everyone in the house, ripped apart by the claws of a werewolf, and what do? They joke. They laugh and they joke and dismiss the slaughter while trying to get Victoria to say her catchphrase. And that is the moment that Rose Tyler stopped being the wonderful companion she is in Series 1 to a horrible laugh in the face of death, smug and downright nasty character.
Yeah, I do see where he's coming from a bit. Yeah.
He goes on to say, RTD has fallen too much in love with his own creation and possibly playing to viewers' desires, fundamentally changing the character, even though the Doctor thinks it's expectable and laughs and people around him die, casting him in a very bad light indeed. Despite some okay stories in Series 2 and 3, the Tenant Doctor was destroyed for me in this episode. And it, bar one or two stories, would take the arrival of Donna in Series 4 for him to redeem himself. My score for Tooth and Claw is a very generous 3 out of 10, mainly for the CG werewolf, the music and set design.
Very low. That's the only sort of low score we've had, I think. Most of them have been 6 or 8.
Yeah.
I do agree with a lot of what Kevin is saying, although I clearly enjoyed the episode more, but I do know what he means about that.
Yeah, I think overall, from a series perspective, or from a Doctor's tenure perspective, we can absolutely see what you're saying in terms of, how Rose was written and all that stuff. So yeah, we see your point, Kevin, mate. Thanks very much for your comment. But you clearly did not enjoy this one.
Yeah.
Did you have anything over on the Geeks Handbag page?
Yeah, I had a couple. I had Patrick Sherwood said he likes the story. It's great. I think The Wolf is very good, and he's given it a 9.5 out of 10, so a very high score from Patrick. And Hendrix Chaplin, hi Hendrix, he says he likes this episode. Nothing memorable from it. Second person to say that, but it's a great setup for Torchwood, he thinks. And that was it for Geeks, just the 2.
Oh, cool. So thank you very much, guys, for sending in your thoughts and feelings on Tooth and Claw. It's an 8 out of 10 from us. Next week, it's back to Classic Who. Change, my dear. So what are we doing next week then, buddy?
Next week, it's Colin Baker story, Attack of the Cybermen. Next week.
Attack of the Cybermen.
Attack of the Cybermen. Some of the ice people as well, isn't it? Sarah Green, is it? I can't remember now, but yeah, so that'll be interesting. A bit of cyber stuff next week.
It is Sarah Green indeed.
Yeah.
Now when's the last time I saw this? Flipping hell. It's going back probably last year, mate.
Wasn't this one of the first ones you reviewed, like way back at the start of the podcast? I think you did this one obviously on your own. When was that then?
This would have been way back.
Episode 4.
Was it?
Of the podcast. Yeah, so it'll be good to chat through this one with you. It's I always find the Colin Baker era interesting. So This was like the start of his proper series as well, wasn't it? I think Attack of the Cybermen.
I believe so, yeah, because it was the Twin Dilemma before.
Oh, that's right. Twin Dilemma at the end of Peter's series,
That's
and this
right,
kicked off. Because I thought this was the first episode you ever reviewed, but it's not. I can't remember what your first one was, but So it'd be interesting to go back and chat through this one together, I think.
Yeah, this was very early on for me. This is one of the first, one of the first ones I reviewed. I remember watching it a while before that. And I don't think I've watched it since then, since I reviewed it back in sort of mid-2014. So,
well, I haven't watched it for years, so I'll definitely be giving it a rewatch next week before we chat about it. Yeah.
So Colin Baker, Attack of the Cybermen next week. So look out for the Facebook post and all that jazz for that one. Look forward to your thoughts on that. And I think we'll do that, mate, for 115.
Okay.
Thank you so much, guys, for sticking with us. It's been a bit of a long show, this one. We're clocking in just over a couple of hours. But, hey-ho, you got to hear our thoughts and feelings on Class and regular Doctor Who and merch. So if we had news in there as well, it'd be even longer.
It would. Actually, just before we close out, I realised we didn't score Class this week. I think we did last week. And I'm quite intrigued to know, just quickly, what would you have given it out of 10 this week?
3.
3, okay. Yeah, I was slightly higher, 4.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So our Class reviews are only like mini reviews. You don't want to, do a full-blown thing. Because we're here to talk about Doctor Who. But yeah, in a way, in a quirky sort of way, it's nice to talk through Class. Just to,
it is. It's as I said, it's nice. It's filling a gap at the minute.
Indeed.
Good or bad, it's definitely filling a gap. So yeah.
Rightio, head over to our website, www.bigblueboxpodcast.com. You can listen to all of the previous episodes there. Plus, you can link off and follow us and like and all that stuff on the social stuff. So if you're a Facebook user, which I'm sure you are, or a Twitter user, Instagram, all that stuff, give us a like and a follow. And we'll say hi. You can also listen to the show on iTunes. Just go to the website or do a search in iTunes for the Big Blue Box podcast and you'll find us on there. And if you could give us a review and a rating on iTunes, that would be fantastic because that really helps us out heaps. Check out Adam's channel. He has his own thing going on.
Yeah, I've got a thing.
On YouTube and Facebook, The Geek's Handbag. So remember to give Adam a subscribe on YouTube and a like on Facebook. Very, very cool stuff over on Adam's channel. Really good stuff. If you're into unboxings and on-the-spot reviews and convention stuff, go and check out Adam's channel.
Yeah, and have a look.
Amazing stuffs. Right, until next week then. Really looking forward to watching Attack of the Cybermen again. Haven't seen it in ages. It's going to be interesting watching that one. So we look forward to your guys' thoughts as well. So until next time, my name is Gary.
My name's Adam.
And remember... Lottie!